Thank you very much, Mr. Waltz.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just to echo some of the other sentiments of my colleagues, I was just on the floor of the House in commemoration of National Women's History Month, and also as a son of a single mother and father of a 15-year-old girl, I truly applaud the groundbreaking, ceiling-breaking work that both of you have done. This committee, I think, really has, and all of us really have, I think, a mission and a mandate to continue to explain to all Americans and to educate all Americans how dependent our modern way of life is on space, from over-the-horizon navigation to our banking system to how we communicate, all things that we've talked about today. But I don't think that is fully realized by everyone, and I commend your work to continue to do that, and I certainly take that on as one of my missions. But then also at the same time, as we've talked about how fragile that infrastructure is, it's not built for redundancy, it's not built for survivability, and it truly, I think, is a national vulnerability at this point. I do want to take a moment, though, to applaud this administration for breathing new life into the Space Council, the space policy directives, my colleagues and their op-eds along those lines. I do think it's worth noting that NASA is the only civilian agency in the President's budget that just came over that that is not looking at a potential cut. And of course, we're so excited about the private sector. I represent Northeast Florida, and I think that triangle, space is in our DNA, and I think that triangle between Cape Canaveral, Daytona, and Embry-Riddle, which is in Aeronautical University, which is in my district, in Orlando, truly can be at the heart of the future space industry. So, to questions. I wanted to give you, Mr. Rose, a chance to also weigh in on this perception, perhaps a reality, that there's this kind of zero sum from a budgetary standpoint in sustaining the space station and having the resources to truly make the moon and deep space a reality. Is that a viable path to expand the partnerships and to truly make that available for commercial use in the time frame that we need, in your opinion?
Sir, to be honest with you, I don't know. As I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of a military space guy, so I don't know the answer. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. But I was just out at the National Reconnaissance Office, and for me, what was so telling there was how interdependent all of these things are. I mean, just the things that they're able to do now because of what the private sector is doing and the affordability of launch, all of those things is really fantastic. Then maybe I'll open it up to a broader question. How can NASA do things better? I mean, it's one thing to say we need more, more is always better in terms of resources. I got it. But there's an efficiency component here, and there's a perception, at least coming to me, as someone who's new to the committee, that NASA sees each of its programs as somewhat siloed, or maybe they are siloed as competing for limited resources. So how do we change that sentiment, if you agree that it exists, to cultivate a more streamlined agency, and how can we help?
Well, I think one of the best ways we can do that is to expand on what we've done with commercial cargo and commercial crew, to try and take advantage of the innovative ideas out there and have them developed in part by private agencies, giving them a platform and a place to go, in essence. We pay for it, but much less than what it would cost us if we had done it ourselves. So I think we need to expand on those capabilities throughout, wherever we can, whether it's other technologies that we can develop on the moon for...
Do you sense that, or is government being a hindrance or help? And I mean, what can we do from our foxhole here?
Overall, I think the government provides the leadership. NASA provides the leadership that is required. And even our international partners that we work with say, well, when's NASA going to have the definitive plan so that we can get on board? Because they expect us to be the leader, and we need to serve that role as a leader. I think NASA is that role. So
having or better communicating that there's long-range objectives,
yes,
right, that the private sector can then
yes,
make sensible investments into. Is that a fair statement?
And to integrate it with the plans in such a way as to optimize the outcome and get the.
Should the
most out
private
of all
sector
of
be part of the planning process, or is it, you know, we plan and then we'll let you know what it is?
I don't think it would hurt to have the private sector as part of the planning process.